Hey, welcome back to my watercolor channel, and today I made a very easy painting. I added some blue to the sky, so I added some water, and then I added some of the cobalt blues, and then I mixed the cobalt blue as well with some of the viridian green. So there's a really nice hill behind in the background, and it's mixing nicely together. While the paint is flowing down, I add water. Now I use a bit of a Prussian blue as well as some of the lemon yellow to get a nice green, and some of the cobalt blue and some of the deep yellow. So I really wanted to have some different shades of green in this one. I don't really have like a motive or photograph with one, but it really reminds me of my time in Utsjoki during the summer. You have many of green hills in the east Tunturi, and then some trees around the lake areas. I sprayed some of the water onto the paper, and now it flows down nicely, and I decided to add there a lake. So now I'm using some of the Prussian blue, and I just like pull the paint down but with a big brush. At the foreground I wanted to add a small lake, a small tree island, and yes, so I leave it on the left side a little bit of lighter in color, but then adding more color which is a little bit to the front, and it's much stronger. And then also it's good always to move the paper or the block of paper so it the colors mix nicely together. While it's still wet, I add some different shades of green. I add some of the green shades after everything has dried, and as well as some shades of blue. So I want that the trees which are standing a bit further away around the coast of the around the lake, that that it looks much more interesting. There are more sharper the edges, so it's not extremely blurry, but yes, towards the left side I don't add that strong colors because, like I said, there's gonna be a bigger tree coming. Now here I add as well some of the deep yellow on all cobalt blue mixture, so it's a little bit of a olive green, and if you add a little bit more, now I continue with the big tree. I wanted to use some brighter colors in green, and also not too strong in colors, and then kind of increasing the intensity. So basically I have a stronger pigments, more pigments than water, and I focus on the one side, and then again I'm having a very bright green, as well as on the left side of the tree, just adding nice green here. It doesn't matter if they're mixing too much together, if they are stains, because they're branches, some branches I add later on, and I spread the paint with the brush, as well as using as the tip of the brush a little bit for the leaves outside of the tree, so it looks nicely uniform and it doesn't need to be too detailed. So this painting is not very detailed. and then adding darker shades of green, and their trees are slightly together. As well as adding some of the grass, and it's quite easy to do if you split the brush here. I have a little bit light layer going on there, so I will add later on some darker layer. But here is the little island, and that's the yellow ochre, spreading it there nicely, that everything mixes together. And then adding more of a dark color, so in this case I have used some of the indigo blue, which I really like to use when mixing green colors as well as some of the brown colors, so it gives a naturally brown, darker shade of area. I wanted to emphasize a little bit more of the lake. I added more of the Prussian blue, and I'm going from side to side really, as well as the first layer comes through nicely. So on the left side, it's more like, it's not really a bright day, it's more cloudy. Didn't want to have too much of a bright colors. Adding the trunks of the trees, it's some indigo blue and with some yellow ochre as well, and very strong in pigments. They're basically some beatrice, and adding more bluish, so kind of like emphasizing the shadow areas, although it's in the shadow, but more structure to the island at the front. And basically now just adding, I focus on just adding details. So for example, as the ripples onto the water, onto the lake, so it's not totally boring, and as well as on the little island. I think just emphasizing certain shapes as well as adding some contrast. I think the overall painting is a little bit darker, so it needs much more contrast. And then with a very thin brush I add the branches of the tree. However, I don't want to add too many more details there. As well as adding some lighter branches. And then adding a little bit of a green, so creating, make sure that the tree looks a little bit round. And as well as adding a little bit of dark green here at the top. But that was basically it. Thank you for watching, and remember to subscribe. Bye.